Hey there, this is Will Experience from WorldLab XR, and today we're going to speak about a medtech project called Floreo with Vijay, who's CEO of Floreo. So first of all, Vijay, can you please tell a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I'm a software engineer by background. I was an early engineer at Amazon. I joined in 1998. I was there for 7 years in a variety of engineering roles. Started Floreo from a very personal space. My son is on the autism spectrum, and in 2016, or actually late 2015, I had an Oculus DK2 that I was playing around with, and he wanted to try it out. He ended up using the developer kit for the Oculus, and he ended up starting to do pretend playing and other social development activities that he had not done yet. And so that ended up being a light bulb moment for me that perhaps virtual reality has an ability to reach children as a therapy. And I started working on the idea that virtual reality could be a therapy medium.
So to make a small recap, you started working on Amazon in 1998. You worked there for 7 years. You were a software engineer, and then you moved to kind of I would say a technical manager position. And in 2016, because of a personal problem that you decided to try to solve it with virtual reality, and that's how Floreo was started.
That's correct.
Okay, so then can you please tell a little bit about Floreo, about which problems are you solving, and just a small kind of image of the company, because some of our listeners may not know about Floreo.
Yeah, Floreo is a virtual reality technology startup primarily based in Washington, D.C. in the United States. The company and the product we provide takes clinically designed virtual reality content. So we create VR content that is designed to spur social and behavioral development in children with behavioral challenges. And these challenges are from conditions like autism or attention deficit disorder or anxiety. And we create VR scenes to develop that. We pair the virtual reality experience with a coaching console that today runs on an iPad, and that enables a supervising adult, which might be a therapist or a special education teacher or a parent, to be able to conduct the therapy with the child.
And so what is the main kind of special thing about virtual reality that helps us to actually solve this problem much better? What is the special thing about VR?
Yeah, there's a few things. So virtual reality as a fully immersive environment creates a controllable space for the children to learn. Children with conditions like autism are often also very easily distracted by noises, by people moving around. So the virtual reality environment creates a much more quiet space. Our animations are quite simple. They're not very active animations, and that really helps settle the child to receive the treatment. Additionally, the animation tends to engage the child better than traditional therapy. So, kids like animation and screens, and so the cartoon nature allows them to be more settled and receiving the therapy. And then finally, many of the social skills that we're teaching are actually very difficult to teach in a therapist office or in a clinic. One example, for instance, is that we teach children how to cross the street safely. And so crossing the street is something that in a clinic is hard to explain. In the real world, if they try and fail, could be quite disastrous because the child could be injured. But in virtual reality, they can see car traffic moving, they can understand when it's safe to cross, they can practice over and over again. And with the animation, we can make it fun. So we have cute animals on the other side of the street that are encouraging the child to make the crossing. So we're able to combine the fact that VR is a great teaching environment with the fact that it's also fun and engaging.
So basically, you're creating the environment that needs to happen in the therapy, during the therapy, but you are making it fully immersive and you're making it as safe and as controllable as possible. So there's a person on the other side with an iPad who's controlling everything. And at the same time, the person, like the kid, is probably in the headphones. So the kid is not able to get distracted by literally anything. And because of this, VR gives you the opportunity to treat kids on a much higher level. Am I correct?
That's right. That's right. And then to go further, one of the things that also makes it very powerful is that, and we've seen this become a bigger challenge because of coronavirus, is that the Floreo system can be used as a telehealth application. And by that I mean a family can have a virtual reality headset in the home, and the therapist can remotely supervise the therapy from their iPad. The child is getting the same treatment that they would in person in virtual reality. They have the headset on, they're experiencing the scenes, but the therapist is able to control the scene from distance, which creates more accessibility for treatment for families.
Okay, and so it's very interesting to understand how do you design those scenarios? How do you understand which kind of scenarios you need to put the kid into virtual reality, and how does the design process happen?
Yeah. So we have a fairly unique design process because of the clinical nature of the content that we're creating. We start with a team that includes a neurodevelopmental pediatrician, who's our chief medical officer, and a experienced clinical therapist who leads our therapy content design. They are the ones that start with designing what skill that we're trying to build for the child, and they create initial ideas on how that skill can be taught, which potentially characters and environmental art could be used to create that. Then we have an art team led by our art director, and they create the gamification of that clinical design. So that includes how to make it fun, which environments could be most conducive for the objectives. It's a highly collaborative process between artist and designer on the actual game flow. Once we have that worked out at a high level, we have engineers who are Unity developers. So, like most VR applications today, we're on a Unity stack, and so these engineers then work with the art director and the therapist clinical design team to further implement the lessons. A really key component in how our therapy lessons work is that we also have to capture the right data. That data informs the ongoing treatment plan. And so we use personalization techniques so that as a child completes the lesson, we're able to recommend what the appropriate next lesson is based on information that therapists upload into the system about the child's condition. We're able to recommend parts of our catalog that we think are most appropriate developmentally for where the child is. And so the data is very important as well. So we design what that data capture will look like. And then finally, we have a user interface design for the coaching console. So our coaching console, the top half of the screen is a mirrored view of what the child is seeing in VR, flattened to a 2D representation, as well as widened to about 180-degree field of view. So we give a wider field of view to the adult than what the child sees in virtual reality. We then also create, based on each lesson, different sets of buttons and other UI controls on the tablet that enables the supervising adult, the therapist, to be able to conduct the session. Conducting the session can vary quite a bit. Some of the lessons require almost no intervention from the adult, like relaxation scenes. But many of our lessons involve ongoing assessment where they have to listen to whether the child verbalized an instruction or conversed with the character correctly, and they can progress the scene, as well as handle different re-prompting of the child, replaying of animations to give them a second chance. In other cases, we're puppeteering the characters in the scene itself. So we have, NPVs in the scene, avatars that are interacting with the child, and those characters can be taken in different directions based on the input of the adult from the coaching console. So from an implementation standpoint, we're a multiplayer game in Unity, even though from the perspective, it's a one-player experience.
Okay, and so how many lessons have you already created?
Yeah, we have around 200 lessons today. So,
wow.
So we have a wide range of lessons from early childhood development, like developing eye contact or the ability to imitate someone else, to social situations, how to talk to a classmate in school, how to invite a friend to come sit next to you, to safety lessons like how to cross the street. One of the big challenges in the US, which is fairly unique to the US, is there's a lot of fear in encountering police officers. And so we have lessons to help children converse with a police officer in a safe way. And then we have a number of lessons focused on relaxation, calming, mindfulness, other types of emotional regulation related objectives.
So I've seen on your website that you have breathe techniques that are done in VR. Can you please speak a bit about this and how breath techniques and like meditation things work in VR?
Yeah, basically virtual reality, because of the engagement that you're able to achieve with the child and the fact that the environment is already simplified from the real world, allows you to then work with the child on skills like deep breathing or body movements that otherwise the child might be too distracted, not engaged, doesn't want to interact with the adult. In Floreo, we're able to make it fun. So our breathing lessons, for instance, happen at a train station. A train pulls into the station, and if the child participates in the deep breathing, the adult can reward the child by having the train leave the station and do some loops in an environmental landscape we've set up that takes place in a valley. The train comes back into the station. And so a lot of really our objective is we have to make therapy fun. Therapy can be very difficult for children because they're doing it every day. They don't want to go there. They'd rather be doing something else. How can we make it fun? And so in virtual reality, we have focused on using fun animations, creating scenes. It's clinically designed. We have research backing that it leads to improved outcomes. But from the perspective of the child, they're just playing a game.
So with the results and the outcomes, what is the way how you count? Does the therapy have results or not? So what are the metrics that you use?
Yeah, so while we do have a number of metrics we collect in virtual reality, the basis of how we claim efficacy is based on research that we've done with research partners. So we were fortunate enough to receive a large grant from the National Institutes of Health in the United States. That grant has funded research at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is one of our major research partners, and has enabled us to do over 3 years of research, including a randomized clinical trial using the system. This has enabled researchers to measure outside of virtual reality the progress of the child. Depending on the lessons, some of our lessons we've been able to run well-known testing benchmarks on different skills before the study using virtual reality, and then 4 weeks after the study, which is the common duration for measuring generalization of a skill. So for instance, we had 12 kids go through a benchmarking of their eye contact skills. A week later, they started a 5-week program, 3 times a week, of receiving Floreo treatment. At the end of the 5 weeks, we waited 4 weeks, and then we remeasured their eye contact skill. And we were able to demonstrate that 10 of the 12 kids had improved eye contact skills based on the benchmarks. And we were able to publish academically those results in a well-known pediatric medical journal.
That is amazing.
And so similarly, we've run a randomized clinical trial where study measured, and we were able to show not only efficacy in the study, that the kids improved after using Floreo, but we beat the control group on the results of the level of improvement. And those were presented at the International Autism Conference earlier this year by the researchers at Children's Philadelphia. And so we're proud of the research we've been able to do. It centers around using well-known benchmarks or ways that we can, in a fair manner, outside of virtual reality, measure the skill level. Because ultimately, this only works if children are able to translate their progress in virtual reality and succeed in the real world.
Yes, definitely. The only purpose of the treatment is basically to succeed in real world.
Right.
Yeah, so that is actually super cool. And so, what were your main challenges? Because right now it's 2021. You started developing this in 2016. And so, what were the main challenges that you met? Maybe there were business challenges that it was maybe, as I understand right now, probably you partner with psychiatrists or with people who help children, and then through them you offer your services and your platform. Am I correct?
That's right. So the commercialization side is definitely the biggest challenge for the company today. I'd say when we started the company, using Unity in a multi-gamer environment and building this kind of unique chaperone model of having the second player be able to control characters in the scene and be able to manipulate things, had some technical challenges, but really the business side is the challenge. We've been fortunate to have enough venture investment to be able to try different models for how to commercialize the product. We've worked directly with families. What's really working for us today is that we license the system to clinics and special education school programs, and we offer monthly or annual recurring licenses to the software, and then we couple that with the optional leasing of hardware if they need it. And so that's our main business model today. And really the upcoming challenges as essentially a healthcare/education application is that we want to be a reimbursed medical device or assistive technology in the US healthcare system, so that clinicians that choose to use Floreo because they genuinely believe it will help the child don't have to feel like they're having to now run a more expensive business licensing our equipment. So we would rather get to a place where the commercial insurance covers the cost and that the clinicians can make medical decisions based on what they think is in the best interest of the child.
Okay, I understand this because for a lot of XR medtech startups, the commercialization and getting approvals from different agencies is one of the main struggles that they're trying to fight. And so I would really like to understand, what is your vision for the next 5 years? How do you see Floreo developing? Maybe you would like to add this to augmented reality glasses or to mixed reality glasses, or maybe your kind of vision is more on the commercial side, or maybe you are right now researching some new ways to treat the disorders that you're treating.
Yeah, so I would say there's three things that we're really focused on looking out 5 years. The first is that we've demonstrated that our virtual reality system can be effective as a cognitive behavioral therapy, and that there are many conditions treated through cognitive behavioral therapy. So earlier this year, we announced the expansion of Floreo into ADHD and anxiety treatment, and we have new lessons coming out every month to build that. We're also partnered with another US research institute called the National Human Genome Research Institute, which is part of the US federal government. And we're co-developing a set of brain training lessons in virtual reality focused around ADHD. So developing working memory, enhancing impulse control. So these are areas, and they're more game-like than our current lessons, which have a more simulation-oriented. The second aspect of the business is that telehealth and remote-based medical services are becoming more and more important to how society delivers healthcare. And so we believe there are a number of capabilities in our technical infrastructure that we can build out to further make us the standard for virtual care when you want to go beyond video conferencing. And so that includes areas like being able to record the lessons and play it back asynchronously, so that more senior clinicians can evaluate, things like that. The third aspect is the data. The data we're collecting has a lot of power, and we believe over time we're going to be able to automate some of the treatment plan management, reduce the level of expertise needed to decide which lessons, how often. Anything we can do there can open up new scenarios for parents and caregivers to step into more of the therapy, which can be more convenient for the families, as well as potentially more efficient for everyone involved. Additionally, that data that we're capturing could be potentially used in new applications as far as screening children before they have a diagnosis, or being used in concert with pharmaceutical treatments to measure progress. And so those are our three focus areas as we look at the next 5 years.
So the main three focus areas is first expanding to new kind of disorders and not only treat autism, but as well as treat ADHD, treat anxiety, and etc. The second main focus is working on telemedicine and trying to treat people that are far from you. And the third main focus is using data and using better data, and by this optimizing the treatment so the treatment goes the right way, even if the person who's controlling the treatment doesn't have enough expertise. Am I correct?
That's right.
I would also like to ask you a question. Can Floreo be used to adults?
Absolutely. And so our research has involved adults in the study as well, and we have some customers. I'll answer it in two ways. So today there are adults using our system, even though most of our content is child focused, and that has to do with the level of disability that the adult has. So there are many adults who are high support individuals and benefit from the exact lessons that younger children are receiving and benefiting from. However, beyond that, a major opportunity for society, and for us as a business, is that there are many adults who have job-ready skills but are unable to find jobs because of the challenges they have around their social interaction skills. And so we see that as a big opportunity to expand Floreo to really help in these areas where adults are looking for help with job interviewing, with succeeding once they have a job, with interacting with their colleagues. They're looking for independent living skills so they can move out of their family home and live by themselves. So that they want to have relationships. And so those are all areas where we think VR can be a great practice and training platform.
So I would like to ask you a question like this. So I have pretty hard and severe anxiety from two different things. It's dogs and policemen. Mm-hmm. And so if I would, for example, like to treat my anxiety for dogs and policemen, how would this happen? So I have to sign up somewhere, or what I have to do if I want to try to start treating?
The police lessons are already built in there. Dog anxiety comes up actually as a request. It's in our content development queue. It's probably a few months away, so stay tuned on that. But anyone can come to floreotech.com and register interest. We work with both individuals who want to just use the system, as well as enterprises like clinics and schools. We have the police interaction lessons that have been the focal point of our research at Children's Hospital Philadelphia. So they're quite polished and have really good research backing now. And so people can experience that. Anxiety is one of the reasons why it's often good to start working with a professional first, rather than doing it yourself, so that person, we give a lot of controls to dial up or down the stress levels of the scenes. So for instance, in our police interaction lesson, you can start at the easy level, and the officer is quite nice, and there's not moving car traffic and pedestrians staring at you as you're having your interaction. And then as you move to medium and hard, we amp up some of the distractors, the tone of the officer becomes more rough. And so that's also one of the powers of virtual reality, is that you can, once you animate the base scene, you can tailor it in a number of different ways fairly inexpensively.
Yes, that is super cool. I would definitely like to try maybe during next month.
Yeah, reach out. Anyone can reach out through our website or at info@floreotech.com. And we offer a number of different options to make it easy for someone to get started.